Hi guys, I'm back again today with another video, and today we're checking out why the EU economy suddenly looks all right. So why? What happened? I'm intrigued. So before we do start, don't forget to subscribe, click the bell button, and let's find out.
Headwinds the EU has faced this year, including higher US tariffs and intensified competition from China, 2025 has been a year of resilience and hope for the EU economy. According to the European Commission's latest forecast, the Eurozone is set to grow by 1.4% this year, an
Mm.
improvement from the previous projection and up from 0.9% last year. Inflation has also stabilised, currently sitting at around 2% and expected to fall slightly below the ECB's target next year, a sharp drop from last year's highs. The ECB also expects wage growth to slow modestly, but still outpace inflation, rising by about 2%, enough to restore much of the purchasing power lost by the inflation surge. And Europe's labour market has remained pretty resilient, with unemployment projected to stay below 6% through 2027, boosting domestic demand and driving consumption. So in this video, we're going to explain why Europe's economy might be doing better than the headlines would have you believe.
This is interesting.
The TLDR Black Friday sale is now on. That includes
I'm not sure, but is it because like Europe is not falling for whatever the man who is in charge of that country, like they're not buying into whatever he's selling, and they're getting from other places. Is it why? It could be one of the reasons. I'm not sure, but I really want to know. Simply.
our biggest ever discounts on all products, including our coffee table book, our 2025 calendars, our colouring book, posters starting at $17.99, and much more. Find the full collection at toolong.news or by clicking the link in the description. Offer ends December 3rd. So let's get straight
I'm
into it.
late.
The way we see it, there are at least two broad reasons that the EU economy is outperforming expectations. First, despite widespread concerns that higher US tariffs would significantly hurt the EU's export-oriented economy, European industry has actually held up surprisingly well. We saw a surge in exports in the first half of the year as firms moved quickly to get ahead of the tariff increases. Then, in late July, Brussels and Washington agreed to a 15% tariff on most EU goods entering the US, a level far
15.
lower than that imposed on
Yeah.
most other big economies.
I was gonna say, I was like, that seems reasonable compared to what he's tasking. Tasking. Did I just say tasking? Taxing other countries.
Entering the US, a level far lower than that imposed on most other big economies. India, for example, has been hit with a 50% tariff on all of its exports.
I think we have
and Canada
15% in
faces
the
a
Philippines too. So.
45% rate. This has given the EU a modest competitive advantage, while at the same time, driven by a need to reduce its dependence on the US, the EU has pushed to sign trade agreements with other countries. EU exports have subsequently rebounded following a slight slowdown during the summer, with Eurozone exports rising by roughly 4.7% between August and September, the strongest monthly increase since the COVID period, and fully reversing the declines seen in April and August. A good indicator to get a sense of how the EU economy is coping with Trump's trade wars are its PMI readings, which are basically a proxy for the strength of European industry. Europe's industrial sector remains fragile, but things are gradually improving. For context, the EU's manufacturing sector has been in a deep contraction since 2023, largely driven by Germany's struggling industrial base, which has left Europe trailing much of the global economy. While things still aren't great, for the past couple of months, Europe's manufacturing PMI has essentially stabilised, implying that the worst is finally over. Notably, this improvement has been driven primarily by southern European economies such as Greece and Spain. And this reflects a broader trend in which southern Europe, particularly Spain, are growing much more quickly and pulling their weight more than their northern counterparts, boosted partly because of the money it receives from EU recovery funds and a strong tourist and services sector. It's not just that either. Business optimism in Europe's industrial sector has also been buoyed by the EU's recent efforts at deregulation, following last September's Draghi report on European competitiveness. The most visible shift has been the EU's U-turn on parts of the Green Deal. For context, the Green Deal has long faced opposition from right-wing parties within Europe, especially since the farmers' protest a couple of years ago. What's new, however, is that more centrist politicians in Europe, and a growing share of business leaders, are also backing efforts to water it down, arguing that it undermines Europe's competitiveness without really doing that much to solve climate change. We first got a hint of this in April, when the EU Council voted to delay two significant pieces of climate legislation for 2 years. These laws would have imposed significant reporting requirements on companies, forcing them to publish detailed sustainability data on everything from emissions and water use to chemical leaks and the impact of climate change on employees and suppliers.
Smart.
Meanwhile, carbon
I
emission
don't think.
commitments for COP30.
I mean, I'm not sure. I don't know, like if it will help or not. But business wise, it's smart move, right? Like helping our environment. I'm not sure if it's actually will, or it's not, or it is. It's not. Whatever, whatever. But on that front, so smart. Interesting.
Have also been slightly lowered, and last Wednesday, EU countries supported a proposal to delay the bloc's landmark deforestation law, one of the Green Deal's cornerstone measures, by a year. Now, to be clear, we're not necessarily saying we agree with all of this, and the watering down of the Green Deal hasn't gone down well with many more left-wing parties in the European Parliament, and on the continent more broadly. But nonetheless, the point we're trying to make is that these measures have been well received by European industry, helping to bolster confidence at a time that it's much needed. Anyway, the second reason the EU economy is actually in alright shape is tech. While the media often portrays the EU as a tech laggard, stumbling behind the US and China, the situation for the EU is rosier than you might think. Now, there's definitely something to the claim that Europe is falling behind, as evidenced by Europe's conspicuous lack of well-known tech companies. But in recent years, the EU has been narrowing this gap. Europe's tech sector is currently driving the continent's labour market recovery, with 1.6 million jobs added to the industry since the start of the pandemic, more than any other sector.
It's the highest.
The rise in Europe's tech sector has also been
I want to go back. I want to
the
see.
pandemic.
We have, okay, looking for tourism. Okay, social work, education, food service, art with defense, other services maybe. It will be there.
More than any other sector. The rise in Europe's tech sector has also been able to offset some of the recent contractions in European industry. Germany, for instance, has lost over 200,000 industrial jobs since the pandemic, but gained nearly 600,000 tech jobs. European firms have also increasingly adopted more advanced digital technologies, and the region is steadily catching up to the US in the share of companies integrating cutting-edge digital tools into their operations. AI adoption is especially strong in Europe's manufacturing sector, while in contrast, in America, it's far more concentrated on services and infrastructure. In fact, countries like Denmark and Czechia have become standout performers, rapidly digitizing their industrial operations. On a per capita basis, Europe even has around 30% more AI specialists in its workforce than the US does. All in all, the picture looks more encouraging than the headlines suggest. With a surprisingly strong tech sector, a renewed push towards deregulation, and an economy that weathered the US's trade storm better than expected, Europe is now on firmer footing. Now, it's important not to overstate things.
I want to say so many things, but
is still below where European politicians and policymakers would like it to be, and there's massive regional variation. Nonetheless, it's at least true that the doom-mongering is often overdone, and self-bashing Europeans should keep in mind that basically every major economy at the moment is in a tough spot. We actually dove even deeper into this topic in our interview with YouTube's Money and Macro, where we discussed the state of the European economy and how he thinks it could be fixed. The interview is available within the next issue of our magazine, Too Long, with premium subscribers also gaining access to the full unedited recording. Plus, this Black Friday, we're running our cheapest price ever, with new subscribers getting their first copy as cheap as $2.99. As you can see, the magazine is titled The New Middle East, and in it, we run through each country in the region and discuss their future, before reflecting on how recent events have reshaped the Middle East forever. We obviously talk about the Middle East a lot in videos, but this is our most zoomed out, detailed and thought through coverage yet, truly outlining how we see this region re-emerging. It's not just that though, there have also been a lot of major elections this year. So in this issue, we have a whole section talking about all of the major elections that have taken place this year, and how global politics has changed. China's continued dominance, politics in the UK,
I know
and
they're
how
selling me a
politicians have
product, but
hijacked social media. This latest issue is now available for pre order on our
I don't know
website,
if
and if
I
you subscribe
should
using the
skip.
code Black Friday at checkout, then you'll get £5 off your first copy, bringing the price down to as low as $2.99. Plus, there's also
PDF.
special subscriber bundles. Anyway, click the link in the description
Oh,
for all of your.
I stayed for that. I thought it was more. I should have checked. But anyways, yeah, that makes sense. Um, I never. Maybe I did. I was gonna say I never thought the economy of Europe was going down, but I think I did. Yeah, at the beginning of the year, for sure, in conversations, we would have those type of conversations, but also in the same conversation, um, people would say like, "Oh, we don't import from this country anymore. We import from this other country because they have lower taxes." So I just thought like, okay, maybe they're doing okay because they're not relying solely on the US of A, right? So, anyways, beautiful peeps, let me know what your thoughts are. If there are other informations that he didn't mention that you want to add, let me know down in the comments. And if you have any requests, let me know down in the comments as well. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.